Sydney, for the last time on this tour, to get up off the feet and make some noise for David! How can I get on the stage? How can I produce the stage? How can I make the stage? Requires a different level of thinking, strategy. So let's start thinking about how.
Anyway, a few thoughts on Ethan Donati. What he was saying was that a lot of people don't spend money on social media advertising. They don't make ads, and they're kind of too shy, or they've got a business or they've got an idea or whatever, but you need to actually promote it. So basically, he got everyone in the crowd to put up their hands if they spend more than $1,000 a month on social media. Only 25 people out of 3,000 people put up their hands, and he used that as an example of how, you know, what are we doing? Like, we're not pushing ourselves, blah, 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 blah. I totally disagree with what he was saying. There's enough advertising on social media and people pushing stuff, paying for it or not paying for it, doesn't matter. Basically, there's too much social media anyway. And ironically, the story of David Goggins, who Ethan Donati has brought out here, completely disproves what Ethan Donati is saying. May have worked for Ethan Donati because his job is to get motivational speakers and put on these big events, and he promotes them by doing advertising. That, for his model, that works. But for a lot of people, advertising on social media would just be annoying and unfruitful. Why? Because, okay, example, David Goggins. He only started posting on Instagram and social media in 2017. By that stage, he already was the world record chin-up holder. He'd already become an elite ultramarathon runner. He'd already achieved so many things, and it was his life story that was inherently interesting to people. He didn't need to do any advertising. So if David Goggins was attending this seminar that Ethan Donati is putting on as an audience member, he wouldn't have put up his hand. He would have been one of the people that Ethan Donati was chastising for not pushing themselves hard enough. You've got to make an interesting story. You've got to do interesting things. You've got to achieve things. And then people will be inherently interested in what you're doing, and you don't need to spend money on social media. That's my thoughts. I don't have a massive social media following, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I just think pushing the marketing before the substance of what it is you're trying to market is what most people do these days anyway, and it's bullshit and it doesn't work. Well, they charged me $5 for a replacement swipe card to get into my room. And it works. And did I leave it here? No, I did lose it. Bummer. I'm a loser. No wonder I can't stand being at that seminar, because I'm just inherently a loser. Well, I should get back to it, although I don't think I'm missing anything. I do want to see David Goggins, and I really like David Goggins. I like him because of the stuff he's done, not just because of the way he talks. Whereas there's all these other speakers who are just, it's like this substanceless, hyped up kind of stuff, which maybe I'm missing all the good stuff. I've got to get back. Now, so I'm going to kind of get pumped with Goggins. I kind of just want to get back and see the moment when the man himself walks on stage. There's this, the MC is like this lady with a real squeaky kind of voice, and she's like, "Is everyone fired up?" Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm not fired up. Well, it's like, yeah, I'm fired up. Why don't you just go and do something instead of crap on about how fired up you are? Speaking of doing things, what I really want to do is get a burrito. I reckon just one sneaky burrito. I won't miss much. What's a burrito going to do? I'm not going to miss like the pearl of wisdom that will change my life. I really want a burrito. Maybe with like a... No, it's got Vulcan in it. Shit. I think it's a really good trait when security guards and other assorted sort of people in positions of semi-authority call you boss. I really like that. They're like, hey boss, and it's like before they're about to ask you to like do something or move on or let you know you're breaking some kind of rule, but it's like they're showing this funny kind of respect, like, hey boss, do you mind not doing that here? And you're like, yeah, I am your boss, I'm paying your wages, I'll do exactly what you say. The rain is coming down on Sydney town. I'm hungry, I'm missing out on the seminar. This is good. It's a vegan burrito. I'm still spending way too much money on food. I'm not spending any money on social media though, so it kind of makes up for it. Ethan Donati.
Hi guys, Sam from Aussie Cryotherapy. I just wanted to make a quick video here just to share our experience with Ethan Donati from my $1 million funnels. We've been using Ethan now for about 2 months in this company, and we're looking for someone new or you're just not happy with your current service, definitely speak to Ethan, and I guarantee you'll get your better results.
The key is today's offer is today only, but we can start the marketing whenever you like. I'm going to show you a story from one of our long-term clients, Joel Bauer, who's been with us 3 years now. I want you to see his story so you get an idea of what it's like to work with us first.
If this man was a woman and wasn't married, I'd marry him.
Remember, we're going to give you all of my online training for you to access whenever you like.
Well, it seems the first half of the day has just been a massive sales pitch for this Ethan Donati guy's online marketing business. Even to the point where he had, like, as you could see in the video, all these people. He was like, if you want to sign up, you know, just go to the back of the room and sign up at those tables, and it's $45,000 for him to run your online campaign. Now, I've got no opinion on that, whether it works or not. Obviously it has worked for some of his clients, and obviously he's good at what he does. It's just definitely not my thing. And basically it's lunchtime now, and if Goggins doesn't get on stage soon, I'm fucking off out of here, because I want to go for a run and edit some videos and actually live life instead of being in a room with a bunch of people giving each other high fives for paying a bunch of money to watch some other people tell them how great they are. I mean, it is cool. All these people are obviously go-getters and they want to contribute to the economy and get compensated for it, and that's why they're here. Even so, there's just something to me that feels pretty inauthentic when the speaker tells you to, you know, high-five the person next to you because you came to this event, which means you're already like, because it's called adapt or die, so we're the adapters because we spent all this money to come to this event. But, you know, hopefully it works for a lot of people, and you can always find excuses for why you don't want to do something, because it seems gross or too capitalistic or whatever, but often it's just because you're scared or lazy, or you, like, one thing that Ethan was saying that resonated was this thing called information bias, where before you make a decision you want to get all the information, you want to do all the research, and that's like the higher level thinking of the human brain, where you're processing, analyzing, etc. But while you're doing that, someone else is already doing the thing. Someone else is already overtaking you. And there was a visual of a lion sitting there watching all these gazelles run past. All the gazelles are running. And the lion is like looking, making it, it's sort of, obviously the lion is going, which gazelle should I get? Anyway, this other lion comes in and gets the gazelle. That analogy doesn't really work when talking about higher level human thinking, because lions don't have that. But point still taken. I mean, we all know people who are like, oh yeah, I want to start this YouTube channel. You know, I was looking at the subject that I want to do it on, and it's already too much going on. So I'm thinking instead I'm going to start a business like doing food deliveries, but you know, there's already Uber Eats and blah 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 blah, 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 you know, and you talk to them 3 years later, they're still doing the same thing. They got another idea, but they never do it. And it's basically, you're better off acting with your reptilian brain, which is, you know, count down from 5 and then just do it. You're going to be wrong half the time, but you're always going somewhere. You're always learning something, building momentum. That's the thing I've taken from Ethan Donati. So thank you, Ethan. I mean, I already kind of knew that, but sometimes the point of these things is to kind of, brainwash is a bad word, you know, but we are trying to program ourselves in a way, which is like brainwashing, especially if your thought pattern is the guy who just is constantly analyzing, researching instead of actually doing, and you want to become a go-getter, you want to become a doer. Sometimes it's good to just overload your brain with all this shit until it becomes like natural. At the same time, you don't want to rely on, it can be the same thing, like you end up just watching motivational YouTube videos. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. The point is, at the end of the day, you just got to do it. The emphasis that Ned Brockman, the guy who ran from Perth to Sydney, placed on having routines. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying routines are bad. I could do with a lot more routine in my life. But the problem is, you can often put off doing things you want to do because you still haven't become that routine person. So you think, oh, I got to get up at 4 every morning, got to have cold showers, got to do this and that. But if you don't do that, you end up not doing anything because you're like, oh, I'm not sticking to the routine, so I'm not going to go on a run, I'm not going to do this, not going to do that. I have been the most unroutine person, but I've still managed to just go and run from Bateman's Bay to Sydney, self-supported, with a hammock and a sleeping bag and a backpack. Now, if I was waiting to become a better person who could wake up every morning and every day do things and tick off boxes and stuff, I'd never do that, ever. You become a better person, you build those routines by doing things that you didn't think you could do, by doing outlandish, crazy shit. Another thing I took away from Ned Brockman's talk was the idea of negative motivation. So it's like he has an FU wall. So instead of like being motivated by positive things, like people saying, yeah, you can do it and you've got this and all that kind of stuff, which is great, but it's being motivated by the people who think you're a piece of shit, that you're never going to amount to anything, and that you suck. So you think about that and you just keep pushing forward.
2 weeks later,
Having those voices in your head, because that's fuel, but it's also flipping something that's negative on its side, flipping it upside down so it becomes a positive. Because you can get really down when you fail at things and people enjoy your pain and humiliation. Or you could be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do more, I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna kick ass, you know, all that kind of good stuff.
Hey? Hey? Okay? Hey? Hey? Okay?
I'm heading back to my hotel room for a bit, drink some water, recharge my GoPro. That Aaron Sensoni guy had some interesting stuff to say, particularly when he said most people kind of microdose their life away on decisions. The idea that, you know, you get that dopamine rush, that feel-good chemical, that feeling when you make a decision. But what are you willing to endure to actually follow through? And that's what most people don't do. So that was, you know, I could have got that off a meme online instead of paying 120 bucks to hear some dude say it on stage. He's still talking, selling his, you know, what is he selling? He's selling basically how to buy businesses. He's built a big empire himself. Doesn't really interest me at this stage in my life. And he's been talking for about 2 hours. I feel like it's probably going to be some other person who gets up there and pitches their own product. It's at the point I don't even care about seeing Goggins anymore, to be honest. And at the end of the day, it feels like they've used David Goggins as a bait to hook all these people in to their schemes. You know, $45,000 for an online marketing campaign. 3,000 people in that room. even if only 1% of them sign up. That's quite a good day for that guy. I'm not complaining, that's just my observation. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm there to see David Goggins. He definitely, people aren't interested in what David Goggins has to say because he spent $45,000 on an online marketing campaign. I was interested in David Goggins before he even had an Instagram account because of the stuff that he did, because of the life that he lived, because of the way that he speaks about it, because he is naturally motivating. I don't think he spent any money on advertising. He might have, but he's got 6 million followers. Everyone else is speaking up there. I've looked them up online, they got like 2,000 followers. They might have made heaps of money, but it seems like they're selling a bunch of bullshit. Okay, so Aaron's speaking now, and yeah, it looks like after Aaron there's this guy called Graham Holm, who is the driving force and CEO behind Infinity, aka the Money Mentor, an acclaimed financial educator, blah blah blah. Oh fuck, who gives a shit? Seriously. I have no regrets coming back to my hotel room and spending an hour or two just chilling out. I'm going to edit some videos, and by the time I get to the conference center, maybe Goggins will be on stage. Who knows? It's 3:45. I was just looking at this online thread on Reddit by people who went to the Brisbane and Melbourne version of this seminar, who feel pretty much the same way I do about the kind of exploitative nature of this conference. So they basically said they got there at 7:30 and Goggins didn't get on until 4:30. And Goggins was great, according to them. They were really happy to see Goggins. But yeah, to make you sit for 8 hours through these kind of long infomercial type sales pitches is kind of ludicrous. And I wonder where David Goggins is of that. I don't think he's into events management. He just wants to get his message out. So if other people contact him and are willing to pay him and fly him over and stuff, he's like, yeah, sure. But I think he's really being exploited here.
If you threaten to leave, they will pay you. Store your funds in these.
So it's about 4:10 and Goggins still hasn't come on.
Bank accounts. Look for a fully transactional product with free unlimited redraw, maybe offset, and engage a team of experts. Otherwise, fail. First attempt in learning. That's what it stands for. Don't. I mean, I'm built for feed, not for speed. That's
amazingly,
story, okay?
people sitting over there are not asleep.
Guys, children at the bottom of my chubby little heart. Stop buying your kids shit that you never had.
Is in the house. Now, we need to reset the stage for him, okay? And I want you to know, in Melbourne, after the interview, you did Q&A that went for quite a while. So if somebody needs to take a quick bathroom break while we're resetting, do so.
Only member of the US Army to go through Navy SEALs training, US Army Rangers training, air traffic controller training, author of Can't Hurt Me, which sold 5 million copies and never finished 800,000.
Will it ever begin? The part where we dance and sing original sin, genuflecting on our hands and knees. Will it ever begin? Release the queen and kill the king for original sin. Rivers of blood into an ocean of tears. Will it ever begin? We've been waiting 10,000 years.
I think it's been 5 times I've ever seen an audience full of white people give a black man standing ovation. So I appreciate that. Thank you. The most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. You walk around with it, you go to bed with it, and pretty soon you act upon that, whatever that may be. So that's the first thing I tell everybody. If you want to start changing your life, You have to get that belief in yourself, and belief doesn't come from, like I said, your mom and dad. While that helps, true belief comes from in your own mind.
The cookie jar concept is the main takeaway I've gotten from reading David Goggins' books and watching his Instagram posts. That's the idea where the cookie jar is your own personal metaphor, your jar of cookies. And the cookies are the achievements you've had in the past, the times where you've overcome obstacles, where you've done things that people didn't think you could do, or that you didn't think you could do, but you did them anyway. And that's how you build confidence. It's more effective than positive thinking, because positive thinking on its own, you can just think yourself into a state of despair because it's based on nothing. If you're not doing anything, if you're just thinking, I'm going to be positive, things are going to work out, and you're trying to manifest your destiny just with thought, that's pretty empty. But when you actually go, okay, I'm going to run this marathon, I'm going to do this gig, I'm going to get this job, etc., etc., it starts to multiply, it starts to snowball, it's momentum. And when you're struggling in the future, when you're looking ahead and thinking you've got this big goal, you can actually draw on those cookies and have a little nibble. And that gives you the energy, that gives you the glucose to keep going, to achieve and surmount those obstacles. So for me, the biggest cookie in the cookie jar is running from Batemans Bay to Sydney to get here to the National Convention Centre. That was a real game changer for me. Don't know how long it's going to last. That's why I'm already like, okay, what's next? You can't just rest on your laurels. You can't just get fat on those cookies. You got to eat those cookies to fuel yourself for the next adventure.